Have China-US relations become more constructive or have they deteriorated? As the year comes to an end, the question haunts everyone who follows the interactions of the world's top two economies. In brief, China-US relations have maintained stable in 2015, but they're visibly complicated. Building on the two memoranda of understanding on confidence-building measures signed by China, United States and Beijing in November 2014, they have now completed new annexes on air-to-air safety and crisis communications. China and the United States have also agreed to continue discussions on additional annexes to the notification of major military activities memo. At the invitation of the Chinese government, US Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter will visit China in 2016. Just 1 week ago, on December the 16th, the Obama administration authorized a $1.8 billion arms sale to Taiwan, the first major arms sale in more than 4 years. As the 2016 Taiwan leaders' election is drawing near, Taiwan is likely to face a new round of political transition. The United States is working to maintain Washington's influence on Taiwan's politics. China has subsequently announced sanctions on companies involved. In 2015, China has actively promoted the establishment of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Yet China's leadership in these areas has resulted in suspicion from Washington. In his State of the Union speech this year, US President Obama reiterated that the United States and not China must write the trade rules for Asia. Despite a subdued reaction to the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank from the US, many European countries have signed on as founding members. As a pillar of the United States' pivot to Asia, the Obama administration vigorously promoted the completion of negotiations of the Trans-Pacific Partnership in October, which excludes China. In July, China-US cooperation contributed to a nuclear deal with Iran. The permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, plus Germany and the European Union, reached a comprehensive agreement on Iran's nuclear program. Under this agreement, Iran is not allowed to conduct uranium enrichment above 3.67%. They must stop building the Iraq heavy water reactor and allow more inspections. In response, the related countries should not impose new sanctions on Iran and relax their current sanctions. During this 9-year-long negotiation, China and the United States have conducted constructive coordination and cooperation. This year, Washington's China policy became a major talking point in US presidential debates. US academic circles participated in a new round of debate on the United States-China policy. Michael Pillsbury, a consultant for the US Department of Defense, argued that China is implementing a strategic deception program. The China policy debate amongst academics coincides with the primary stage of the 2016 US presidential election, a time when China bashing can be used as a way to score easy political points against domestic audiences. In the first half of 2015, the United States accused Chinese hackers of a series of cyber attacks and threatened to impose economic sanctions on concerned Chinese entities and individuals. In June, the computer system at the US Office of Personnel Management was hacked, compromising the data of around 22 million US federal employees. During Xi Jinping's visit to America in September, the two governments reached important consensus on jointly fighting crime in cyberspace, and they set up a relevant, high-level dialogue mechanism for coordination. On December the 1st, the two sides reached an agreement on the guidelines for joint China-US fights against cybercrimes and the establishment of a hotline. On a less positive note this year, events in the South China Sea became a stumbling block. The United States strengthened maritime patrol and military deployment in the region of these disputed waters. In May, a US surveillance aircraft flew over waters off China's Nansha Islands with a CNN team on board. In October, the US Navy sent its USS Lassen close to the waters of China's Juby Reef. And in November, US military officials announced that the US Navy plans to conduct patrols in the area about twice a quarter. Against the backdrop of the US pivot to Asia strategy, US interference in the South China Sea issue has increased tensions between Beijing and Washington. In 2015, China took over from Canada for the first time to become the top trading partner of the United States. Right now, China's foreign trade volume accounts for 7.4% of total world trade, while the United States accounts for approximately double that at 14% of the world's total. China and the United States have contributed greatly to the growth of the world's economy, which will have a profound impact on China-US relations in the years to come. In June, during Xi Jinping's visit, the two countries issued a new joint statement, reiterating their important role and responsibility in coping with climate change as the globe's two largest emitters of greenhouse gases. The outcomes were hailed by both sides not as the end, but as the beginning of their joint efforts to accelerate green development and peak their emissions. In September, President Xi Jinping paid his first official visit to the United States since taking office. During the 7-day visit, Xi Jinping stressed that building a new model for major country relationships is a priority of China's diplomacy. The two sides reached 49 important consensus points and outcomes during the visit, and a series of wide-ranging commercial contracts were signed between various business leaders. President Obama has already announced he will visit China in 2016, his final year in office.